This is my absolute favorite steak that comes off the barbecue. It is packed full with flavor, it's juicy, and it is extremely tender.
Thanks to Kamado Joe for sponsoring this episode.
There are so many ways to cook a steak. Chefs like to take a pan, put the steak in, sear the steak so that they get a nice crust, then add a little bit of butter to it, some herbs, and then their steak is done. Now, of course, this is a great way to make steaks, but my own personal favorite way to cook a steak is the reverse sear method on a barbecue. I like to smoke my steak first, get it up to temperature, then let it rest, and finally sear it off over high temperatures with charcoal or a cast iron grill grate. But that's not what we're doing today, because today I've got a special version of cooking steaks. And maybe it's even better than all the before mentioned versions of cooking a steak. The first thing that I'm going to do is fire up my Kamado Joe barbecue. I'm adding some charcoal, and in the middle goes a chunk of beech smoke wood. And then finally the grill grates go in. All I do is hit the ignition button. That means a coil underneath in the barbecue is just going to warm up and ignite the charcoal. I'm going to be smoking the meat at a temperature of 225 degrees Fahrenheit. Now this is the steak that I'm talking about. If you're a regular to this channel, you have seen this steak before. It's a beef tenderloin, and not just any beef tenderloin. This comes from the bull that we butchered ourselves. It doesn't get more local than this. Look at the amount of intermuscular fat that we got on this beef tenderloin. This is going to give me amazing steaks. Now what I want to do is I want to get them ready for the barbecue. And that means I'm going to take off this piece first. It almost looks like it doesn't belong on these steaks. And as a matter of fact, it kind of doesn't, because it's not the right shape to cook it evenly. And then we'll have these ends right here. I'm going to cut that off as well. It's just too thin to cook evenly, just the same. Flip it around. And of course in the middle, this steak is the thickest. And that's perfect, because the way we're going to cook it, it's so low and slow, and that is going to have plenty of time to get even cooked in this current shape. Of course, I'm not throwing these away. I'm not going to cook this steak to a high temperature, and therefore I'm not going to have the most amazing crust. But to help it a little bit, I'm going to put on some mustard, and then I'm going to coat it heavily with this seasoning. That way the seasoning is going to provide me with the beautiful crust that I otherwise would have to build up by smoking it for a long time. Of course, I'm going to season the sides, and just as I finish prepping the meat, I get the beep. The beep says, it tells me to close the top vent, and once I hit the button, it tells me the amount that I need to open the top vent again. This way I have my barbecue running at the exact temperature that I want it to run in the fastest way that I can get it there. And all I have to do now is put that steak on the barbecue. There we go, exactly in the center. And now I'm going to close the lid. The barbecue will take over from here, and the only thing I have to do is plug in a thermometer probe. And this probe is connected to the system of the barbecue, so that my app tells me everything I need to know. While we wait for our steak to be done, I'm going to make one of the most delicious steak sauces that you've ever had. And guess what? It is super easy to make. I'm going to start with half a cup of mayonnaise. To that, I'm going to add half a tablespoon of chili oil. That's about right. If you don't like hot and spicy, make it a little less. Then I'm going to add a tablespoon of molasses. This is going to make the sauce nice and sweet. A teaspoon of mustard to bring a little bit more acidity, and a little bit of the Texas barbecue seasoning. A teaspoon will be more than enough. Now we're going to mix this up, and look at how bright orange it turns because of that chili oil. And the last ingredient is a sprinkle of dried parsley, just to get a little bit of contrast on the spoon. Of course, I'm going to do a taste test. Taste tests are mandatory. Oh. The core temperature of my steak is at 54 degrees Celsius now, and that means I want to take it off. You see, the steak is tender and juicy, and it doesn't have a lot of silver skin or collagen that we need to break down, so that's why I'm taking it off right now. I don't need it to go any higher than a medium. Of course, we're going to let this steak rest and make sure that it's cooked to absolute perfection. While I wait for the steak to rest, I'm going to prepare the plate with our delicious steak sauce. I'm just going to swirl it around, slowly releasing the sauce. A little bit of extra effort always helps. So I'm going to put a little drizzle of the chili oil on, and a sprinkle of the dried parsley on the sauce. And it just makes everything look so good. I need this cross section so bad. Here we go. How about that? That looks so good. This is absolutely perfect. You see how we got that edge to edge thickness? It is absolutely beautiful. Cooked to perfection. Let's get this ready for the plate. Oh, I'm gonna run it through the juice one more time. That's like a magic trick to make everything look even more tasty. And then I'm just gonna load it onto the plate quickly so we don't get the juices spreading out. That just screams absolute perfection. Look at that beautiful crust. Of course, it's not seared, so we don't have that dark crust, but it's smoked. And therefore we have that perfect edge-to-edge thickness. All I need now is a little bit more of that sauce. It's a lot of steak, so it can handle a little bit more sauce. So now, without further ado, let's slice into this. Oh, look at how soft that steak is. It's barely holding together. A little bit of the sauce. All right, there we go. Oh. So good. And that sauce, you know, I understand if you don't want to go out all out and buy this steak, but at least just make this sauce to go with the steak. You're not going to regret this. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.